cross tip screwdriver, trim panel bars. You can also use a flat tip if you don't have these, flat tip screwdriver. Some extensions and a 10mm socket and a Torx bit on the 2001. This is the first step in doing anything with the airbags. Disconnect the negative terminal on the battery and then give it a cool down period so there's no electrical memory in there. You assume the risk. I assume the risk when I do this, that things could go wrong. I could accidentally pop my airbags, I could hurt myself. When you do yours, that could happen also, although that's never the intent when you're doing a job yourself, to cause more harm, but you do have to take that into account. 1, 2. One of these in each side right here. It took me a little while to figure out, but this was the key to removing the center console. I pried here, and all I did was start hearing things pop and crack. So get a trim tool or a flat tip, pry this up. Okay, 2 Phillips here. There'll be one in the back that you won't be able to see in a few minutes. One here, and then one on the other side. I'm skipping ahead right now. I'll come back to do the bolts, but I want to make sure that 3 plugs plugged in and that I get the battery reconnected, that I'm going to get rid of this trouble code before I put everything back together. So I'm going to just kind of do a dry run right now. When you get these off, to remove them, you need to try to get a pry, whether it be your finger or a tool on this side and that side at the same time, and this little bar slides back and it releases the whole thing. So there's not a little center holder like a lot of the other Honda adapters. This whole frame needs to come off at the same time. So I already did the center one. There's this one, and walk around to the other side. It's lined up, and I'm just going to push it in. Click. Wire harness right here to maintain and keep this viable. Just pinch from the bottom and slide up out of that hole. But then for reattaching, pop it in. Here's a third bolt. I'm just going to set it in place so I don't lose it. I have my gear shift console bezel, whatever you want to call it, off because this car has 225,000 miles on it and it's pretty gross. So I've cleaned it up the best that I could. Just used some degreaser, water, cleaned it up, let it dry overnight. But to get that off, I had to remove the shift knob. 2 screws right here. Slide the gear shift on. I did the front first. Be careful with this wire if you do end up taking this off. And then thread the wire. That's the position that you'll find it in. Just put the key in here. That depresses the safety to be able to shift gears. And make sure your e-brake's on. 2 screws back in. I'm going to leave this little plug out for right now in case I need to do anything else with gear shifting. Here's the insert that goes in there. I'm going to go ahead and get my carpet back in its right position. Now it's time to put the center console back in. The trick to this is to have the driver's seat as far back as possible and also lean back as far as possible because the armrest is going to get in the way. Kind of got it lined up right now. As you're sliding it back in, you want to watch each side of this because this naturally is going to want to push in. Alright, I slid the seat all the way up. I'm going to put one screw in there, a screw in there, 2 screws in there. Put the emergency brake cover back on. And then when you're finished, pop it back into place. Reconnect the negative terminal on the battery. Finish vacuuming out the car, clean all my tools up, call it a day.